My wife's recent behavior has been off, and her best friend has been acting strange around me too. I confronted them, and the truth came crashing down. My wife was cheating with her personal trainer, and her friend was helping her hide it. For the past few weeks, my wife's been acting unlike herself, and it's got me worried something's seriously wrong. We've been married for 5 years, together for 7, and this kind of behavior is completely new to me. I'm not the jealous or suspicious type. Trust has always been solid between us, so even admitting I'm concerned feels unsettling. It's a bunch of small things piling up. She's suddenly super guarded with her phone, and she's been hitting the gym way more than usual. About 4 months ago, she started working with a personal trainer to get in shape, and I was supportive at first. But now she's at the gym for hours almost every other day. When I ask about her workouts or how things are going, she's vague, saying things like, "It was fine, I'm beat," before quickly changing the subject. It feels wrong. On top of that, her best friend, let's call her Sarah, has been acting odd around me. Normally, Sarah's chatty and warm when she's over, but lately she avoids eye contact and seems jittery. A few days ago, I came home and found my wife and Sarah in the kitchen whispering. The moment I walked in, they froze like they'd been caught doing something wrong. My wife flashed a forced smile and said, "Oh, hi. Just girl talk?" Sarah barely mumbled a greeting, looked panicked, and left soon after. It was weird. Later, I asked my wife why Sarah bolted. She laughed it off, saying I startled Sarah by coming in so quietly and they were discussing a friend's secret pregnancy, something too personal for me to hear. It sounded like a flimsy excuse, and it left me with a bad feeling. My wife's been a bit distant too, not dramatically, but enough for me to notice. She's also started telling small lies about random things. For instance, she said she was at the store for an hour one evening, but when I pointed out our regular store closes early on Sundays, she backtracked, saying she went to a different one. These little inconsistencies, which never happened before, are becoming frequent. I haven't confronted her directly because I lack solid proof, and I don't want to seem like an overreacting jerk. I did ask casually if she's okay since she seems stressed. She got defensive, saying I'm imagining things and she's just tired from work and the gym. Her reaction felt over the top for such a simple question, which only made me more uneasy. I'm torn, my gut's telling me something's wrong, but I have no concrete evidence. I've even wondered if I've done something to upset her, or if she's hiding something because she's mad at me. The weird vibes from her and Sarah are hard to ignore. I consider the possibility they're planning a surprise like a party, but there's no big event coming up, and their energy doesn't feel festive. It feels secretive and tense. I could be reading too much into this, but I can't shake the feeling that something big is going on. Has anyone dealt with a spouse acting secretive like this? Should I talk to Sarah to figure out what's up? I just want to understand why they're being so strange. Any advice would be great because this is eating me up, and I don't want to accuse my wife of something wild if I'm wrong. Update 1. I got my answer, and it's the worst possible outcome. Yesterday, Sarah showed up at my door out of nowhere looking like a wreck. I let her in, and she immediately started apologizing, barely coherent. I had to calm her down to get the full story. She revealed that my wife has been having an affair with her personal trainer, let's call him Matt, for the past 4 months, and Sarah's been covering for her the whole time. I was floored, barely able to process it. I felt angry, betrayed, and dizzy all at once. Sarah was trembling as she explained. She said her husband found out about her role in the cover-up and gave her an ultimatum. Tell me everything or he'd do it himself, and he'd leave her if she didn't. That's why she came clean. Her own marriage was on the line. She spilled all the details. My wife and Matt started with normal training sessions, but it turned into flirting, then a full-on affair. It's been happening for months, hidden behind gym time or girls' nights. Whenever my wife said she was with Sarah, she was with Matt, and Sarah was her alibi. Sarah even admitted to texting me from my wife's phone sometimes to keep up the lie when my wife was off with Matt. That spa weekend with Sarah last month? A lie. My wife was with Matt out of town. That night I caught them whispering in the kitchen. Sarah said they were arguing. She'd been begging my wife to end the affair or confess, but my wife refused. That's why they looked so guilty when I walked in. Sarah said she's been torn up about it and tried to get my wife to do the right thing, but my wife told her to stay out of it and kept using her as a shield. It put Sarah in a terrible spot, lie to me or betray her best friend. I was stunned just listening as she laid it all out. I asked how it started and how her husband found out. Sarah said my wife admitted to having a crush on Matt early on, and Sarah warned her to be careful, but my wife ignored her. Sarah's husband discovered the truth when he saw suspicious texts on her phone, ones that clearly weren't just friendly chats. He confronted her and the whole thing unraveled. Sarah brought proof. Printed texts between her and my wife about meetups with Matt, plus a hotel confirmation email from that spa weekend with my wife's and Matt's names on it. Seeing that evidence hit like a punch to the gut. I stayed calm while Sarah was there, though I was raging inside. I didn't yell at her. It wouldn't have helped. She was crying, apologizing for not telling me sooner. I told her I appreciated her honesty but needed her to leave so I could think. I said, "Go home and deal with your own marriage. I need space." She nodded, still apologizing, and left. After she was gone, I broke down. It felt like my life had imploded. I sat on the couch, crying, trying to wrap my head around it. Eventually, I pulled myself together to plan my next move. I knew I had to confront my wife, but I needed to stay composed. An hour later, she came home, acting normal, even giving me a kiss like everything was fine. Pretending to be okay was torture. My heart was racing, and I wanted to scream or cry. But I held it together, knowing a confrontation in that moment would be a disaster. I waited until the next day. That night was hell. I barely slept, lying next to her while she slept soundly. It was one of the longest nights of my life. Update 2, I confronted my wife last night, and it was a total mess. I'd spent all day rehearsing how to stay calm, but the moment I started talking, that plan fell apart. I told her I knew about her affair with Matt and demanded the truth. She denied it at first, acting confused, saying, "What are you talking about?" I wasn't having it. I said, "Stop lying. Sarah told me everything. I know about you and Matt." Her face changed in an instant, pale, then teary, then angry. She lashed out at Sarah, calling her a jealous liar trying to ruin our marriage. She said I was foolish for believing her friend. It was absurd. I showed her the proof, texts, the hotel email, but she refused to look, claiming it was fake or misunderstood. She said the hotel was for Sarah's romantic getaway with her husband, and her name was on it because she helped book it. Matt's name, she mumbled some nonsense about him being a +1 for a friend of Sarah's. It was the most ridiculous story I'd ever heard. I was furious, telling her to stop treating me like an idiot and just be honest. But she doubled down, swearing on her mother's life she never cheated. She said Matt was just her trainer and any extra time was about fitness goals. Then she flipped it, accusing me of betraying her by not trusting her and believing Sarah instead. She said, "After all these years, you think I'd do this? You think that little of me?" It was pure manipulation, trying to make me the villain. We went in circles for what felt like forever. At one point, I was so frustrated I punched the wall, dumb move, my hands still sore. That startled her and she stopped yelling for a moment. I begged her to just tell the truth, but she kept denying it. Then she switched to pleading, saying I was wrong, begging me to believe her. It was like she was throwing every tactic at me, anger, guilt, tears, to see what would stick. Finally, I'd had enough. I told her if she wouldn't be honest, I'd talk to Matt myself. That shut her up. Her face went from angry to panicked. She stammered, "Why would you do that? He's got nothing to do with this." I said, "If you're telling the truth, you shouldn't care if I talk to him." She kept saying I'd embarrass us both by making a scene at his gym. I told her I don't believe you and I'll get the truth one way or another. After that, she broke down again, crying, and locked herself in the guest room. I let her be. I wasn't going to chase her. I spent the night on the couch, too wired to sleep. By morning, I was exhausted but still furious. When she came out looking as bad as I felt, I reminded her I was going to talk to Matt. She just shook her head and left without a word. At that point, I was almost certain of the truth, but I still wanted to hear it from Matt to be sure. I planned to go to the gym that afternoon when I knew he'd be there. Update 3. I didn't even have to track down Matt. A couple of hours after my wife left, she came back home, probably after calling out from work. She looked broken. She stood in the living room, silent at first, then sat down and finally started talking. The truth came out in pieces. At first, she admitted to messing up with Matt, but claimed it was just a few kisses. I almost laughed at how absurd that was. I told her, "We're past that. Tell me the real story." So she admitted they'd slept together, but she tried to minimize it, saying it was only a couple of times and didn't mean anything. I pushed back, saying I knew it was a months-long affair. That broke her. She started sobbing and confessed everything. It started soon after she began training with Matt about 4 months ago. They'd meet up whenever they could, at his place, hotels, even once in his car in a parking lot. Every time she said she was with Sarah or out alone, she was likely with him. It wasn't just physical, she admitted feelings developed. She claimed she got caught up, felt neglected by me, and loved the attention Matt gave her. Hearing her try to explain it, blaming loneliness or insecurity was infuriating. She was half blaming me while saying it wasn't about me. There's no excuse that makes this okay. One of the worst parts. She was spending our money on him. I asked if Matt ever paid for anything, and she admitted she covered most of it. Hotel rooms, dinners, gifts, even a fancy smartwatch she'd lied about buying for herself. She also gave him loans for his financial troubles. I was livid. Cheating was bad enough, but using our joint money to fund her affair? Unbelievable. She was a mess, sobbing, saying she'd do anything to fix it, counseling, cutting Matt off, whatever I wanted. She kept saying, "I'll spend my life making this right." At one point, she was on her knees, grabbing my hand, begging. I pulled away and told her to stop. I was oddly calm by then, almost numb. I asked if she loved him. She shook her head, saying it was just infatuation, a mistake, and she never wanted to lose me. She said she felt relieved I knew because the guilt was killing her. Ironic, given how hard she lied before. I told her I needed space and couldn't be around her. I said she should leave, maybe stay with her parents or sister. She was terrified I'd tell everyone or do something drastic, but I just needed her gone. She kept asking if this was the end, begging me not to give up. I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. I just said, "I can't deal with you now. Go." She packed a bag, still crying, and left. After she was gone, I broke down again, crying harder than I ever have. The betrayal, the pain, the anger, it all hit at once. Eventually, I pulled myself together and called my brother. He came over right away. My parents called too, but I wasn't ready to talk beyond texting that I was okay. My brother got me out of the house for some air, which helped a bit. That night, I slept a little, mostly from exhaustion. The next morning, I started taking steps. I called a locksmith to change the locks and set up meetings with 2 divorce lawyers. I'm almost certain I'm filing for divorce, but I want to understand my options, especially with the infidelity. We don't have kids and we rent, so splitting should be straightforward, but we'll need to divide assets. I moved half our joint savings to a new account in my name to protect it, pending legal advice. I've barely responded to my wife's texts and calls, just one message to say I'm alive and need time. She's been sending long apologies, promising to wait for me, but I haven't replied. I don't know what to say. She wants to fix this, but I don't see how. I'll update once I've got more sorted, but for now, I'm just taking it day by day. Update 4. It's been 2 weeks since everything blew up, and I wanted to wrap up with where things stand. I filed for divorce. I met with a lawyer, got the papers ready, and had my wife served a few days ago. I documented all the evidence, texts, emails, etc. Though in a no-fault state, it's not legally required, but I wanted it on record. She didn't handle being served well. She showed up at the house, crying and begging to talk. I let her in, partly to keep things civil, partly curious to hear her out now that the truth was undeniable. She spent an hour alternating between apologies and promises. She said she's cut off Matt completely, having met him once to end things. I didn't ask for details. I don't care. She claimed it was a misguided escape, a midlife crisis, and swore he meant nothing. She offered counseling, a post-nup, full access to her phone, anything to save us. She even suggested I could sleep with someone else to even things out, which I shut down immediately. That was desperate and gross. I listened but didn't say much. I'm past the anger and tears now, just empty. I told her calmly that I'm proceeding with the divorce because we're broken beyond repair. I said I don't hate her, but I can't forgive her or trust her again. The trust is gone, and I don't want to try fixing it. She kept saying she'd be lost without me, that I'm her everything. It was almost sad to watch, but I felt no sympathy. I stayed calm and told her there's no going back. Eventually, I had to ask her to leave because the conversation was pointless. She's been texting since, apologies, memories, please, but I either ignore them or say nothing's changed. I'm handling things through lawyers now. She's staying with her parents. My family and friends have been amazing. My mom wanted to confront my wife, but I told her to stay out of it. My friends keep me busy, hang out at my place, and make sure I'm not alone. I've started therapy to process the pain and anger, and it's helping, though it's a slow road. I also connected with Sarah's husband, who forced her to tell me. We grabbed beers and talked. He's angry at my wife for involving Sarah and at Sarah for going along with it, but they're in therapy, trying to work it out. He hasn't decided on divorce yet, saying Sarah's doing everything to rebuild trust. I told him I respect whatever he chooses, everyone's different. He said Sarah wants to apologize again but is giving me space. I'm not mad at her anymore. She was in a tough spot and eventually did the right thing. I told her husband to let her know I'm grateful she told me and hold no grudges. As for Matt, no, I haven't confronted him and I won't. I thought about it, but he's not worth my time or the risk of trouble. I doubt he and my wife will end up together. She's broke, and he's just a trainer. Whatever happens with them isn't my concern anymore. The divorce is moving forward, my wife's out of the house, and I'm rebuilding. It still hurts. Some days I'm angry, others I'm sad. But each day I feel a bit more like myself. I know divorce is the right choice. The betrayal and disrespect were too much. I'm focusing on friends, family, work, and hobbies and taking care of myself. It'll take time, but I'll heal. Thanks to everyone who read this and offered support. When I first wrote, I didn't expect this outcome, but the encouragement, even from strangers, has helped me through some dark days.